This week's parasha, really we have to start a little bit from last week's parasha, like an introduction, even though I wasn't here for a few weeks. It's nice to be back on this podium. I missed you too. This week's parasha, really to understand what's going on, this week's parasha, we have to go back a little bit into last week's parasha to understand really what's going on. Last week's parasha, Toldot, we learned about Yitzchak Avinu. He had two sons. Not to go too much into the details, that was last week's parasha. But he had two sons, Yaakov and Esav. One was righteous, one was wicked, as we know. And they were indiscernible until the age of 13, until the age around the 15. 13, 15. Rashi brings down 13, but really we know from the timeline, they were 15 years old when Avraham Avinu passed away. Avraham Avinu, at the end of his life, Zaken Baba Yamim, V'amunai Berechet Avraham Bakol, he blessed him with everything that he left the world Shalem, that he didn't see any of his grandchildren go off the way. So until he didn't leave the world, Esav didn't go off the derech. At 15 years old, when they were 15, Yaakov and Esav were 15 years old, their grandfather Avraham Avinu passed away, 175 years old. That happened to be the day where Yitzchak was actually mourning the death of his father. As we know, that Yaakov was making him what? The traditional food that you give a person who's mourning, lentil soup. He was making him lentil soup. And where was Esav on this sensitive day after his grandfather passed away? You would think he'd be there supporting his father, giving him some type of assurance, Abba, I'm here for you. Where was he? Out hunting. Who was he hunting specifically? The Midrash relates he went to go kill Nimrod, a king named Nimrod. Now the Midrash also relates that Nimrod had a special coat. And this coat allowed him to speak to animals. And that's why the Pasuk says in Esav, Vayetzei befiv, that he had hunt in his mouth. Now there's two ways to understand hunt in his mouth. One way to understand hunt in his mouth, the way Rashi understands, is that he was a good talker. Like he told his father, on the straw and on the salt you have to give maaser. There's no maaser on salt and straw, but he wanted his father to believe that he was Talmid Chacham, that he was going into the sugya, to the deepest depths, to understand what you have to give, what you don't have to give. But really he knew that there's no maaser on salt and tevin. But he was trying to trick his father. So he was good with his mouth. He had trickery in his mouth. That's one opinion of hunt in his mouth. Another opinion is according to the simple understanding, that literally he hunted with his mouth. That he was able to speak with animals. That we see that Adam HaRishon, Nimrod had the jacket of Adam HaRishon. Adam HaRishon spoke with animals. This coat had a mystic ability to help people speak with the animals. That's what he went to get that day. He comes back after killing Nimrod. He comes over there and he tells him, give me a little bit of this lentil soup. Now the Midrash relates that Yaakov was planning on giving him. However, you have a mitzvah kibud avayim, to respect your father and your mother. And the first bowl that comes from the soup is supposed to go to who? Go to Abba. So tells him, okay, wait a second. I'm going to give the soup to Abba, and I'll come back and I'll give you a bowl of soup. No, I want this soup. I want this soup. Now we should know that Yaakov and Esav, the way that they were conceived, is that if you understand a little bit, Rashi brings an analogy like water in a pipe. The first to come in is the last to come out. The last to come in is the first to come out. If I have a narrow pipe, I put water, the first water that'll be in the top will come out last, right? The one that's in there in the end will stay in the end and it'll come out earlier. So Yaakov was actually conceived earlier. He actually was the first egg to penetrate, the first sperm to penetrate the egg. And then Esav. So really, in the spiritual sense, Yaakov Avinu actually was the firstborn. He was the first one to be conceived. But Esav came out first. Now according to halakha today, the one that comes out is the first. We don't go according to conception. We don't go according to what happened in the time of the thing. We go according to the birth. What came out first. So Esav in the physical realm had the firstborn right. Yaakov in the spiritual realm had the firstborn right. So he said, okay, now he's asking for something. I'm going to use this to my benefit because I want the firstborn right. I know how important it is. So he tells him, sell me the firstborn right and I'll give you the soup. Which rightfully so, because at the end of the day, you're asking me to be batel. You're asking me to not respect my father by giving him, and you're asking me for something, so I'm entitled to ask you something back. So he asks for something back. He tells him, listen, sell me the birthright. And Esav says to him, okay, no problem. What's good for me anyways if I die? I'll sell it to you. And as he leaves, he kind of like scorns it, like, who cares about the stupid birthright anyways? Okay, they were 15. At the age of 63, now fast forward 48 years, how many years that is? I think it's 48 years, right? At the age of 63, Yaakov was 123 years old at the time. Not Yaakov, sorry, Mechila. Yitzchak was 123 years old at the time, and he didn't know how many years he had left in his life. So he wanted to give a blessing over to his children, so he calls his children. Who's the first person he calls? Now we know that Yitzchak loved Esav. He loved him very much. Why? He didn't know he was wicked? He knew he was wicked, but usually the troubled kid is the one that gets the most love. So he loved him even though he knew he was troubled. He calls him and he tells him, listen, I want you to go out, I want you to hunt me some game, go get me two things that I like, cook for me, and when you come back, I'll give you a bracha. Now his mother, Rivka, who always liked Yaakov, she always knew that her son Yaakov was a big tzaddik, She tells him, listen, go to the R over here, get me a few goats, a few little goatlings, and I'll cook up for your father the things that he likes, and you will get the blessing. We'll give you the jacket of Nimod, we'll put some sheep fur on you, you'll feel hairy, and you'll go in there, right? You'll be hairy, and then you're good to go. And Yaakov says, what do you mean? I don't want to lie to my father, I don't want to be a dishonest person. So his mother tells him, don't worry, Alai, right? On me, which basically translates to Alai is Esav, Levan, and Yosef. The three things that fell on him because he was dishonest with his father was Esav chased after him to kill him. Lavan, what he did to him, we'll find out in a little bit. And Yosef was taken down to Mitzrayim. He thought he died for many years. So these three things fell on him because of this. Now, Yaakov does what his mother tells him to do. But Yaakov is an honest person. So when he goes to his father, what did he do? What is a dishonest person going to do? If you want to trick someone to make you think that you're that person, you're going to fake your voice, no? You're going to make it sound like you're him. And Yaakov was so honest, that what did he do? He spoke in his real voice. So his father tells him, what's going on over here? It's a little bit weird. You're hairy like your brother, like Chewbacca, right? But you don't speak like Chewbacca. Huh? I don't hear the when you walk into the room. I didn't hear I didn't hear nothing. And Yaakov didn't want to be dishonest. Now, what's the funny thing? Is that why wasn't Yitzchak suspicious now? Right? So, he smelled the smell of Gan Eden. Okay. But why was he suspicious? You hear Yaakov's voice. So the Midrash actually relates something interesting. That Esav was worried that Yaakov was going to come steal the blessing. So what did he do? He told him, Abba, I know my brother is a trickster. And he's going to try and steal my firstborn blessing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come and I'm going to speak to you in Yaakov's voice. And that's how you're going to know it's me. Because he would never do such a thing. He thought he was a shah like him. He thought he was a regular person like him. He said he would never do such a thing. And Yaakov was so honest, he didn't do it. Now from here we learn a very important principle. Now we can talk about what very important principle that actually comes down in Iyov. Well, I'll paraphrase, which basically means that the things that you fear the most, you will actually end up bringing them upon yourself. The Malbim writes, and Iyov, he actually was heard that his children were going to be Rashaim, they were going to go against God, they were going to sin against God, and he was afraid of it his whole entire life. He brought korbanot, sacrifices, everything he possibly could to stop his children from going off the derech, from not doing a sin. And in the end, what he feared the most came upon him. And the Malbim writes that every effort he made didn't help him whatsoever. And the Gemara in Masechet Barachot relates this pasuk in a story of Yudah ben Nati. So one of the students at the time of Tanaim over there. And he was walking with his Rabbanim 2 occasions. One occasion they were walking and he sighed, had like pain, like a thing of like, in a way of like pain and anguish of fear. So his rabbi told him, excuse me, you want to bring upon yourself suffering? What are you sitting over here sighing? He says, what do you mean? Ashrei Adam mefachet tamid. The pasuk in Tehillim says the person should be afraid always. He says that's only legabe divrei Torah. That's only talking about forgetting the Torah that you learned. About everything else in the world, you're not supposed to be afraid. And a second occasion, they were walking through the marketplace in Israel, in Zion, in Israel. Now, I'm going to bring this up as a crazy chidush over here. Listen to this. They were walking in Israel in the marketplace, and he saw that this Talmid Yudah was afraid. So he called them a sinner. Told him, you're a sinner. He says, why? Ashrei Adam mefachet tamid. He was afraid, maybe some bandits, some robbers. He told them, no. Same answer he told them over there. Limud Torah. The same thing about, you only have to be afraid about losing your Torah. And who was the person who told him that? He told him you have to have faith in God, even in situations like this, when you're afraid, when you're in the marketplace, you're afraid someone's going to come and attack you, you have to have faith in God. Who was that? What was his name? Rabbi Yishmael. Rabbi Yishmael, who's the father of all the Arab people in the whole entire world, Yishmael. He's telling his Talmid then, you should never be afraid of bandits, of robbers, of anything in the whole entire world. There's only one thing in the world you have to be afraid of. Everything is in the hands of God except for one thing, which is the awareness of God, the things that you do for God. Don't live your life in fear. We spoke about this many times. It's a very, very important point over here. We see Esau was so afraid that Yaakov was going to do something to him. Every action he did to get against it ended up coming against him. Everything you try to do when you have a fear and try to make it in your own power, in the end it'll come against you. You have to have faith, simple faith in God. Simple faith in God. We want to understand something before we continue with the story. What's the difference, the main difference? What makes a person a wicked person? I asked this question last week. I didn't mention it in my class because I didn't have time. But I want to talk about this point on Thursday in my class, but it's a very beautiful piece. So what makes a person a wicked person according to the sages? There's a few answers, but this is one of the answers I want to bring down. The Mishnah in Pirkei Avot says there's 4 types of people. There's one person that says, what's mine is mine, and what's yours is yours. That's a person who's Benoni, he's in the middle. And some say Ma'aseh Sdom, like the people of Sdom. Why? Because they don't care about other people. What's mine is mine, what's yours is yours, you live your life, I live my life, we don't have to do with each other. Okay? There's another person, famous saying in English, well, what's mine is yours, and what's yours is mine. Right? You ever heard this one? This is a famous saying in English, no? What's mine is yours, what's yours is mine. Hachamim say, Am ha'aretz, uneducated person. Why? He gives, al menat lekabel. He gives in order to get back. I only give on condition I'm going to get something back. This is a person who's not educated. He doesn't understand what it is to truly do chesed. To truly do something charitable is to give, not to get something back. A righteous person is, sheli, mine is yours, and yours is yours. I give you with no conditions whatsoever. I just want to help you. That's a righteous person. As we're going to see, Yaakov was that person, and also Rachel we're going to see in a little bit was also that type of person. And who is a wicked person? What's mine is mine, and what's yours is also mine. Now how do we see that from Esav? He tells him, I'm coming back from the field. You just made the soup. That's your soup, not my soup. Give me your soup. I want your soup. Okay, tell me what's yours. Give me what's yours. He says, yeah, I got you. And then 48 years later, you see that what he said was a bunch of nonsense. He had no plan of selling him the firstborn right because as soon as he came in, oh, you stole from me. Yes, I stole from you. You said yourself you don't want it. You said you wanted to steal it. So you see, what's yours is mine. The soup, I want it. But what's mine, the Bechorah, the firstborn right, I also want it. That's a Rasha. A person who, everything is his. He's a selfish person. He thinks only about himself. And what made Esav such a big Rasha? Esav, if you know, his head actually was buried in Machta Mechpelah, the place where all our forefathers are buried. Avraham, Sarah, Yitzchak, Rivka, Yaakov, Leah, all buried there. And one extra person is over there, the head of Esav. Only his head, not his body, just his head. Why? Because he learned so much Torah. He knew so much Torah that the sages say that if he would have been religious, he would have been on a higher level than Yaakov Avinu. So why didn't he get to that place? Because he was a person who was selfish. What does it mean he was a person who was selfish? He was a person who did things that when they were comfortable for him to do it, he went and did it. For example, respecting my parents, no problem, I'll go ahead and do it. But to fight my desire to go kill and to go hunt, that I'm not willing to do. When it comes at my cost of me trying to stop myself from doing something I want to do, that I'm not willing to do. And Esav was the epitome. He had a rabbi. You know what his rabbi's name was? He was a Chinese rabbi. Rabbi Noach Li. You know Rabbi Noach Li? You don't get the joke? Rabbi Noach Li. Comfortable for me. That's what I'm comfortable for me. I do what's comfortable for me. I work with God, whatever's comfortable for me. Right? When it's comfortable, I do. When it's not comfortable, I don't do. It reminds me of a shal I heard from Rav David Bakar in Florida. He says a story about nemalim, about ants. He says, ants, if you look at the most trustworthy animals in the whole entire world, what do it mean? With one another, with their colony. They will not touch. If another ant touches the food, they will not touch it. The ant will die, they still won't touch the food. They'll walk past it the whole entire life, not touch that crumb, if another ant touched it. However, if you want to get rid of an ant colony, bring in another ant colony, and they'll murder each other, massacre. Completely wipe each other out. So on the one hand, lo tignov, yareg val yavo. Don't steal, you're better off to die, not do it. But to kill, no problem, we kill them, no problem. It's not comfortable for me for you to be here. So we see at the end of the day, Esav was similar to like an amal. What do you say, like an ant? That when it's comfortable for me to do something, I do it. When I feel good about doing something, no problem. But when I don't feel good, when I don't have a hard time with it, then I run away. And Chazal teaches something beautiful. That person who has the hardest time to be religious, he actually has the ability to be the greatest of them all. That Esav, who had the hardest time to be a religious Jew, had the potential to be the greatest of them all. Meaning to say, if you have those desires, you have those things you're going to, you have those fights, no, that's just telling you that the ability to be great is inside of you. If you don't have that ability, if you don't have the desires, you're also good. But you may not be so great. You'll be okay, but you won't be so great. Because at the end of the day, a person who fights against himself, a person who develops a willpower to go against his body, who's in control, you or the body? At the end of the day, when you see food, you want to eat it, and you know it's not healthy for you, you have the ability to stay away from it? Very hard. You come on a Monday on a 1 p.m. when it's lunchtime and they bring you over there 6 boxes of pizza. You're sitting over there. It smells good. Each slice over there, we did the math, 400 or 500 calories. You do times 2, times 3. No one ever eats one slice. That's a bunch of shtiel. No one ever eats one slice. You get one, okay, I'll another one, and another one, and another one. I know I don't eat pizza at all. But once in a blue moon, I allow myself to eat pizza. And how much do you think I eat? One slice? I eat half the pie, because you know what happens? You eat one, instead I already did it, let's go all the way, you know? I'm a person that everything we do all the way, you know? We don't do it all. If you're going to do this, let's do this right. Let me get the garlic nuts also and the Cajun fries, please, Habibi. If we're doing it, let's do it already. And the ice cream after with the crunch. Twist. Chocolate vanilla twist, must be. If not, don't give it to me. I don't want it. You know, man. At the end of the day, a person has to be a person who has to be able to control himself, has his desires. Okay, so what if I have these desires? Say there. What's the willpower? Esau was a person who didn't have that ability to say, you know what? As strong and as mighty as he was, one of the strongest, mightiest people in the whole entire world, even though Midrash relates that Yaakov was actually probably stronger than him. As we're going to see right now, that as continuing with the story, that Esau comes back with the food. His father says, oh, who are you? He says, I'm your son, Esau. He goes, someone just took the blessing. You know what? He'll also be blessed. Come, I'll give you something, whatever I have left in the chamber. I have a few things in the closet. I'll give you a few brachot and go on your way. And he says to himself that when my father dies, I'm going to kill my brother. Rivka hears this. She calls Yaakov, she tells him, listen, you have to run away fast. Your brother's anger is all the way in Shamayim. He's crazy angry. You got to get out of here. Now at the time, Yaakov was 63 years old. He tells him, go to my brother's house in Padan Aram, go there and take a wife from among him. Right, from my family, the same way Avraham told Eliezer, take for Yitzchak a wife among my family. Same place, Padan Aram. And where does Yaakov go? You think right away he's going to where his mother told him to do. 14 years he went to Shiva. 14 years he went to Shiva. Hashem never sat down there 14 years. Do the math. He was 77 when he went down to Lavan. If you do the math, everything adds up. When he went to Paro, Rashi and Kli Yakar brings down a whole calculation how you know exactly what was going on to prove that these 14 years existed. But long story short, he went 14 years. The Midrash relates 14 years he didn't sleep. Yeah? Imagine. One night you're not sleeping. Shavuot night you see the guys in the morning. 14 years the guy's not sleeping. Shavuot, you got one guy passed on a chair, another guy is lounging. One night they can't stay. 14 nights he didn't sleep. Finally leave at the age of 77. Now don't tell me he was 18, he was cool, hyper energy. Like 63 years old, he's not, he's an old man. He's an old man. So I had to wake up early, man. Don't sleep, 14 years? 14 years, didn't sleep a wink. He goes from there, 77 years old, he goes on the way. God, he passes a certain, I'm not going to go too deep in it, but he goes to a certain area. He has a dream of the ladders. Over there, he rests his head. For the first time, he rests his head in 14 years, a little bit, not a lot, only a little bit. And then he continues. And he goes to Lavan. When he gets to that neighborhood, he sees that back in their time, there was wells. Not like today, you have irrigation and the water, you just turn the faucet and that's it. You have to go to the well, you have to pick out the water, right? As we know from the story of Rivka. Now, they had a scarcity of water in that town. So what do? They've got a big stone, big marble stone, like the ones you see on Ocean Parkway in the houses on the wall. A big marble stone, yeah? And they covered it that everyone in the city, because they didn't want no one to come and take from the water, so they covered it with a stone that no one in the city could pick it up by themselves, that everyone had to come together, all the men, and to carry the stone to be able to take water. So every day they would come. Yaakov gets over there, he sees a bunch of lazy workers sitting over there, vaping on the phone, everyone just chilling out. So what's going on over here? You have sheep, what is going on over here? What are you guys doing? Go open up the thing. All of a sudden he sees Lavan's daughters coming. Now Lavan, he didn't have any workers. So his daughters used to take care of his cattle, take care of his herd. Why? Because nobody wanted to work with him. He was a wicked person. So nobody wanted to work with him, only his daughters. So comes Rachel, and Yaakov sees Rachel coming down. He sees his crush. He says, he sees through divine intervention, this is the woman he wants to marry. He takes the lid by himself. Picks it up one finger, starts twirling it. Zoketo, it's like a mashal, the guy in the gym, all of a sudden his crush walks by. Yeah, I got two more. Right? You don't got two more, Habib. Put the weight. Don't put the weight down. Right? But what did he do? He saw she was coming. He saw these atzlanim. He saw these lazy people weren't going to do anything about it. And you see how strong Yaakov was. People think, Yaakov was the... Who was he? He picked up a thing that 20 men needed to come pick it up. By himself, flicked it off, and he gave. And then through divine intervention, he was able to see this is the woman that's going to be my wife. And on the spot, he tells her, you want to marry me. Now, Yaakov was extremely handsome, so for her, it was a no-brainer. The guy just picked up, looking over there like Arnold Schwarzenegger, came over there, hi, how you doing? He came with the whole accent, the whole 9 yards. Came all the way from Switzerland, the way from Germany. Where's he from? Germany, right? Habibi, anyone knows Schwarzenegger? It's Germany, no? No, it's Switzerland, I think. With the name Schwarzenegger. You never know. Nah, you never know. Long story short, they came over there. She said, of course, I'll marry you. Because she also through Ruach HaKodesh. Obviously, we're making light of the situation, but everything was done through Ruach HaKodesh, with divine intervention. Now what happens? Lavan, now Rachel comes back to tell her father, because her mother unfortunately wasn't alive. So who's the only person she has to tell? Her father. She comes to Lavan and tells him, listen, I'm getting engaged, I'm getting married. Yeah? I'm getting engaged, I'm getting married. He goes, oh, very nice. To who? He goes, Yaakov, from your what's it called? Your third cousin. Not third cousin, your sister's son. Forgot the name of it now. I know it in Hebrew, but in English it's breaking my mind right now. Your nephew. Ahyan. In Hebrew, I know. It's like in English, I was having. Your nephew. Your nephew. Sometimes, when you speak Hebrew and English, sometimes things get lost in translation. Your grandson and nephew, sometimes, it's a little blurry. Okay? Your nephew comes, and he's marrying him. Now, he remembers when Yitzchak came to take Rivka, his sister. He came with gold and 10 camels. So he comes over there. He's expecting Yaakov is coming flust out. He comes running out to him like the car salesman who hears about a big fish, walks into the lot. He wants to sell him the Lamborghini. He runs in over there. And he sees him, no camels, no nothing. He says, "Midas guy, So he comes over there, gives him a hug, and he's feeling him out. Let's see, Rolex, anything in the pocket, what's going on? What did he come with? Now, I forgot to mention, but I mention it now, that on the way, when he left, when he was in his younger years, when he was 63, his father, Esav, sent his son, Eliphaz, to go and kill Yaakov. He told him, I'm commanding you to go kill. Now, Esav was one of the people who had a very good kibud av v'em, respect for his parents. And we know that children usually, what the parents do, they'll exemplify. If they're very good at that, if that midah, they have a good character trait, the kid will do the same. So Eliphaz, he says, listen, I have to respect my father. Now Midrash relates, he went to his mother, and his mother told him, don't go because Yaakov will kill you. Because if you guys get into a fight, they'll kill you. And your father's only telling you to go because he's afraid, because he knows he'll also kill him. So understand how strong Yaakov was. This is Midrash relates. Now what happens? Eliphaz goes over there, has to listen to his parents. He runs, he catches up with Yaakov. And it happens to be, Yaakov also was his teacher. So he didn't want to kill him. He said, what am I going to do? I'm in mahloket. On the one hand, kibud av v'em, mitzvah doraita, I have to respect my father, he told me to kill you. On the other hand, you're my rabbi, and I don't want to kill you. He tells him, listen, I have for you a perfect taicha. I want to teach you beautifully. I'm going to fix up the situation beautiful. The Gemara in Masechet Nedarim says that 4 people are considered to be like that. Right? A person who's blind, a person who has leprosy, a person who has no children, and a person who has no money. I'll get back to that in a second. I'll elaborate. But a person who has no money, what do we mean to say a person who has no money? A person who had money and all was taken away from him. That's like death. Imagine now a person now was very, very wealthy. Then all of a sudden he lost all his money. It's very painful. If you're poor your whole life, say that you're poor your whole life. It's what you know. But if you're very wealthy, used to everything, the Lamborghini Urus, Lavdi, like those guys who win the lottos, and then they go, what happens to them after they lose all the money? They go bankrupt? Yidgadal v'yidgadash. That's it. En chaim. So Nekshav commenting, the Gemara says mefurash. She tells him, listen, take all my money, and then I'll be considered like dead. So he took everything. And that's why when he came to Lavan, he didn't have anything with him. Now going back on what I said before I come back to the story, so I'm taking you guys a side tangent, but it's a nice piece. One of the things is a blind person. We know that one of the proofs of that is Yitzchak. I'll take up too much of your time. A leper is a person who has a certain type of disease, for speaking Lashon Hara, other things that was back in their time, today not so matzui, not so found. But a person who has no children, what does it mean a person who has no children? A person who has no children yet, however, the sages teach something beautiful. That even a person who doesn't have the ability to have children has the ability to have children. How is that possible? That Talmidim are like Yeladim. Students are like your children. Now last year I thought about it and I came up with this nice proof to this. This is for me. If you don't like it, then there's a door. If you don't like it, tell me after. Take the word Talmidim, take out the letters from Met, Mem Taf. Take out Mem and Taf. You have over there left over, take the Yud and switch it with the Lamed, you have Yeladim. Take the Met, the death that the Gemara told you like there without the children, take it out of Talmidim, you have Yeladim. You have children. From there we understand that a person who has Talmidim, what are you going to say now? I'm not a rabbi, how am I going to have Talmidim? When you call a person and tell him, come to the shiur. Come Wednesday night, Tuesday night, Thursday night, Monday night, whatever night there is a shiur, you come and you bring him. If that person comes to the shiur because of you, that person is considered to be your Talmid. That person is considered to be like your student, kivechol. That when a person brings someone to the shiur, that becomes like his Talmid in a sense. In what way? That you get a portion of his chuyot. I'll give you a parable you guys understand from over here. There was once a younger guy, in his mid-20s, started going to shiur. He got hazak in the shiur. He started coming. He really liked the shiur. He told one of his friends, Habibi, come with me one time. And for months he's pushing his friend to come with him. And every time, bro, leave me alone. This shiurim is an alaim. I'm not coming to this thing. Leave me alone. Don't talk to me. Leave me out of here with shiurim akshav. No, but he's funny. He's this. Okay, funny. We can watch comedians. Don't worry. That's not enough funny. Yeah? They don't want to come. They don't have any business coming to shiurim. Right? Eventually you get it one time. Say, just come, sensational and this and that and all the other stuff. And he says, you know what, I'm coming. I'm hungry tonight. You told me about the pretzel chicken fingers. You told me about the pop, what are the cornflake chicken fingers. You told me about the whole nine. I'm coming. Habibi, I'm coming. You got hungry? Go back over there for the cornflake fingers. Okay? The guy says, you know what, I'm coming. The guy comes. After 120, these two friends didn't keep communications anymore, and this guy stopped going to the shiurim. He actually fell off the derech. After 120, he gets to Shamayim, and he's sitting over there in front of the judges. And they tell him, listen, you weren't so religious your whole entire life, we don't have much to give you. However, you didn't go to Gehenom, you have enough schuyot, you didn't go to Gehenom. However, you do have one merit in your name, and we're going to show you what you have. They take him and they show him over there in Shamayim, in the heaven. They show him a mansion with 17 cars in the lot. He says, what's going on over here? They show him an image of his friend he brought to the shiur. Him, his kids, and his older kids is religious now. He says, every single one of them, you have a merit in that. Every single one of them, you have a commission in that. When you call a person, you nag him and you sit on him and anything, you do a shiurim, you bring him, you have a percentage in what he does. Yeladim, Talmidim, Yeladim, same thing. No difference. You get a person to come, you bring them, you do kiruv with Hashem. The highest thing a person can do in this world is kiruv. The best thing a person can do in his life, with his time is outreach. Try and get the people around him, the friends, the family, because only a person who's close to a person has the ability to be mashpi on them. Only a person who's close to them has the ability to make an effect on them like no other person in the whole entire world can make an effect on them. That means you have a special ability to help them more than anyone else in the whole entire world. And if you don't let that ability, if you lose that ability, then you lose out that commission, you lose out that deal. Give you a call, for lack of a better reference. So we see, he tells him, take all my money. Comes to Lavan, he doesn't have any money. So he starts patting him down with a hug. Nothing. Then he gives him a kiss. He's feeling his cheeks. Maybe he has some magilot, maybe he has some gold teeth back there. He comes up with a metal scanner. Nothing. He says, okay, well, I have no choice. You're broke. Come to my house. You're in the middle over here. What, I'm going to leave you in the streets? You're my nephew. I'll come into the house already. You think for free, right? You imagine now, you land yourself in, I don't know who you have family. You have family in Syria? What do you have family? Let's say you have family in Syria now. You find yourself in the middle of Syria. You come knock on the door. You go there, one of your uncles. The guy doesn't know you from a hole in the wall. You would think the least he will let you do, will let you stay in the house. You know what I'm saying? Mafi miklek, you tell him, hey, nothing like you. Thank you for letting me stay in the house. Lavan, what did you tell him? I'll let you stay. But you have to work. 30 days, Yaakov is staying and he's working with the cattle. He's herding his cattle. He's doing everything you could possibly imagine. 30 days, everything he made him pay for it. After 30 days, he said, listen, it's not nice I'm making you work for free. Name your wage. Even though he would have let him work for free forever. But he told him, name your wage. What do you want me to pay you? He says, your youngest daughter, Rachel, I want to marry her. And the sages say, why was he so specific? Your youngest daughter, Rachel. He could have just said Rachel. He wouldn't know who he's talking about. He could have just said your youngest daughter. So why did he keep on emphasizing? Because he knew that Lavan was a trickster. If you would have said your daughter, he would have given him the If you would have said your youngest, he would have found someone else in the world. He would have, gave birth to another baby and threw my baby out over there. If you would have told him Rachel, he would have went to the shuk, he would have went to the marketplace and found another Rachel. So he told him specifically, very, very in tune, your youngest daughter Rachel, don't try and trick me. And even still he tricked him. Everything he tried to do against it, he still tricked him. He says, okay, I'll work for you 7 years. You give me your daughter, no problem. And 7 years was like one day in his eyes, how much he loves Rachel. After 7 years, Yaakov was a smart guy. He knew what? The Lavan was a trickster. So he said to her, listen, we're going to go tonight. I know your father's going to try and slip me Leah. Right? So we're going to make a password between us. Yeah? When you come to the chuppah, I'll be underneath there. You look at me. We'll say a key word, this secret word. Let's just say, for argument's sake, pineapple. Yeah? Pineapple. You say pineapple, I know it's you. Now, Rachel comes in and she sees that her father is preparing Leah for the chuppah. Now the eyes are going up over there. Now Lavan, what do you think? He made a small event. He invited everyone in the neighborhood. He went to the Metropolitan, Avenue X over there. He said, I want to rent out the old Ulam. He called Hayat. He said, let's get it going. He sent out invitations to everyone in the neighborhood. Everybody was there. And then, now it wasn't like today you have fluorescent light bulbs. Everything was back then on torches. You couldn't see nothing. Because you saw the kala. There was no, like today, you have a chuppah with the thing and the trees coming down and the orchids and you have a chazan. No, you don't have none of that. Now you had the guy walk up to the thing, that's it. There's no, he breaks the glass if there was a glass. That's it. So he doesn't know. Now Rachel's thinking to himself, and she knows. One thing about Leah is that her eyes were always puffy in tears. Her whole life she cried. Why? Because she was the oldest and Rachel was the youngest. And I told her, listen, your aunt has 2 kids, Esav and Yaakov. You're the oldest, you're going to marry the oldest. The youngest is going to marry the youngest, and you're going to end up marrying Esav. Her whole life she cried not to marry Esav. Her whole life. She cried, that's why her eyes were very poofy. By the way, you should know, Midrash relates that Leah and Rachel were just as beautiful as one another. They realized the reality of why Leah wasn't spoken about in such a beautiful manner, because her eyes were so, tears of so much years had an impact on her beauty. Meaning because it was heavy on her. How much? There was no makeup then, Habibi, there's no makeup then. Huh? It had impact on her beauty. But long story short, at the end of the day, we see Rachel understood that Akash Baruch Hu in Shamayim, we should not hear, by the way, the koch of a tefillah, the power of a prayer, that even if something is meant to be, you can change it with your tefillah. She changed it, and she ended up marrying Yaakov. Now Rachel could have not told her the password. But he said, I'm going to let my sister go over there, and I'm going to let her be embarrassed in front of everyone in the neighborhood to go up to the thing, and he's going to tell her what's the password, she's not going to know, and he's going to treat her, and everyone's going to see. It's going to be the biggest embarrassment in the world. Hamim said that a person who embarrasses the person, the blood raises to his face, like killing him. She says, even though it means that I may have to marry Esav, and that I lose my husband, the person that I've been waiting for 7 years, the person that I love, I want to marry him. Even though against everything I believe, because I know that from him is going to come out the 12 children. I know from him is going to come out Am Yisrael. And I'm losing out on the ability of being the mother to the 12 tribes. But even still, it's not worth it for me to go against Hashem, because Hashem doesn't want me to embarrass my sister. She comes to her and tells her, listen, this is the password, pineapple. When you get over there, you tell him the word. She tells him the word under the chuppah and they get married. He wakes up in the morning, who does he see? Leah. He comes to Lavan and says, hello, Habibi, what's going on over here? Who'd you give me? Who'd you give me? I asked you for Rachel. How much more specific could I be with you? You are Shama. He goes, no, over here our custom not to marry the youngest before the oldest. You know, over today I think the custom also is some neighborhoods also they tell you we don't marry the oldest before the youngest. We have to marry the oldest first, then we'll marry the youngest. He says, but I want to marry Rachel. He says, don't worry, I'll give you Rachel also. But you have to work another 7 years. But you know what? I'll give you a discount. Instead of making you wait 7 years, I'll give it to you tomorrow. But 7 years, I want you to work for me again. He said, what am I going to do? Okay, no problem. I'll work for you 7 years. Works another 7 years. And he's married, and the whole time he's married, he actually was in Lavan's house 20 years. 7, and 6 years for the cattle. Okay? He was over there, and now Leah, every one of them had a concubine. Right? The 4 mothers we know. Right? Bilhah, Zilpah, Rachel, Leah. And Leah's having children. And then Rachel's not having children. He says, okay, take my concubine. She's having children. Then Leah says, I stopped having children. Take my concubine. She's having children. And now, Rachel is barren. She can't have children. And the Pasuk says, if God remembered Rachel. Now what did he remember? Out of nowhere he remembered her? Well, God forgot about it? Yeah, right. God didn't forget about it. What did he remember? He remembered the good deed she did with her sister. And he ended up giving her a baby because of that. Because he remembered the good he did for his sister, he said, I'm going to give you a baby because of that. And that's why. Now from here we understand something beautiful. That sometimes in life, a person wants to go with what he thinks is right, his logic. And by going by his logic, ultimately at the end of the day, he ends up hurting himself even more. Why? Let's flip the coin back. Let's go back in time. Rachel says, you know what? He's my husband. I'm not giving it to Leah. She gets embarrassed that night. They get married. Guess what? They get married. She's still barren. Nothing changed. They can't have children. 10 years. Chachamim say 10 years. 10, 20 years, let's say. He had to be married to her 10 years, Gemara says. After that, he has to divorce her. 10 years they would have been married. He would end up leaving her, ended up marrying Leah. She would end up marrying who? Esav. And that's it. So by going what you thought was actually right, she would end up going, what we said in the beginning, what you feel that you bring upon yourself. By going with her logic, by taking her tools and applying it to the situation, and saying, I'm going to do what I feel is right, she would have lost out big time. But because she didn't, she was okay to have 2 children, Binyamin and Yosef. With Yosef was okay to save all the Jewish nation. We'll talk about it in coming weeks. But Yosef was okay to save the whole Jewish nation. Now, and this is a question. Why did Hashem wait so long? If you remembered what she did for her sister, right away she should have been pregnant. Why do you wait? This one had kids, this one had kids, she had 4, she had 2, she had 2. What's going on over here? Until when? Until how long are you going to take me until the point? She has 6, she has 2, she has 2. I don't have any kids. Why you wait so long? Because at a certain point, Leah comes to Rachel and tells her, this is already after the whole situation. And she tells her, you stole my husband. How dare you marry him? Now what's Rachel supposed to tell her? I stole your husband? I stole your husband? What are you talking about? You know good and well, pineapple, that I told you the password, first of all. Second of all, he wanted to marry me, he didn't want to marry you. You were hated in his eyes. It's a pasuk in the Torah. He didn't even want to marry you. I saw your husband? What's she going to answer her? Chutzpanit. What is this? Disrespectful. What'd you tell her? Nothing. Told her nothing. She didn't argue with her. She didn't tell her anything. At that point, Hashem says, that's when I remember you. It wasn't enough that you did the chesed. It was that you continue with the chesed. That it was a chesed that was continuous, that you were genuine about it. You did it, and you did it wholeheartedly. And like we said in the beginning, Sheli shelcha, shelcha shelcha. What's mine is yours, and what's yours is yours. Rachel says, what's mine, my husband, is yours. And now that he's yours, he's still yours. Don't come back and tell me now, but I gave him to you. No, that's a righteous person. That's Rachel Imenu. What's mine is yours, and what's yours is yours. I'm not doing it to get anything back. I'm doing it to do good. Hashem says, now I remember you. Now I want to give you good. When you continue, you don't allow yourself to regret. What's the classic case? We say in Arvit. Hopefully, we pray after Arvit. We say Arvit that save us from the Satan, from the evil inclination, from in front of us and from behind us. Famous question. What does it mean from in front of you? What does it mean from behind you? The evil inclination can come from in front of you. Makes sense. Before I do an action, before I do something, Yitzhak gets in the way. He doesn't want me to go to shiur, doesn't want me to do some mitzvah. So he tells me, don't do it. That's in front of me. So what's behind me? You leave the shiur Torah, you got a ticket in the car. You get into an accident, you get this, you get that. What are you going to do? You're going to regret. The Chamim say when a person regrets, he loses the mitzvah. It says, save it from behind us that we don't regret the mitzvah that we do, even when it comes test of regretting. This is Rachel Imenu who says, I did it and I don't regret it. Even when you're attacking me and I'm not having children and anything like that, I'm not going to come back and say, I regret what I did. And she stuck with it, and she was consistent in her charity. She was consistent in her kindness. And Kosh Baruch Hu says, that's a person I want to give reward to. Heard a story today. Kosh Baruch Hu gave me the story today, Bijuk. This is a real story. A guy who went to shul, was praying in shul shaharit. One of the guys in the shul says, listen, I need a ride home. Habibi, it's out of my way. You're asking me to go all the way to Z and East First. I'm going back home to my basin. What do you want from me? It's a far way out of my way. But he says, you know what? I'm going to do the hesed. I'm going to take the guy. They get into the car, he drives him over there. After he drops him off, whoop, he gets pulled over for a cop, gets a speeding ticket. Okay? I was thinking to himself in my hand, I did a mitzvah, I want to take the guy, I get a ticket. What's going on over here? The next morning he sees the guy gets worried, he got a ticket. Tells him, listen, you want me to pay half? Tells him, no, it's okay, it's fine. I got it, I agree to take you, I want to take the mitzvah all the way, I'll pay the ticket. The guy tells him, wow, you know what, you have really good midot. Actually it's funny, I have a niece, are you single? The guy tells him, yeah. Because let's set up a shidduch, let's see maybe it's a fit. And they ended up getting married, ended up being his wife. Sometimes in life, taking him wasn't enough. He didn't tell him when he dropped him off, by the way, you're single. No, that wasn't enough. But after he told him, hey, by the way, I want to continue with it. I'm not stopping now that I have this regret. I'm not stopping. That's a good midah. That's a good character trait. Now I want you to marry my niece. Now I want to give you the good. Kosh Baruch Hu said, I'm going to give you the opportunities to do good in your life. But after it's over, you're going to regret it. When it comes and it's a little bit of a test for you to, like Yesav, when it goes against you, when it's not the best thing in the entire world, you're going to Rabbi Noachni? Nah, Razuti v'sheket. Or you're saying, I'm consistent, I'm keep on going what I'm doing. Kosh Baruch Hu said, when a person is consistent, when a person doesn't stop, he says, I'm doing it wholeheartedly, and I know, Shali, Shelcha, Shelcha, Shelcha. What's mine is yours, and what's yours is yours, and I'm doing this, nothing, not to get back, nothing, I'm doing it only to do good, and I don't care what comes back my way. Even if it's negative, I'm still happy that I did good for you.